Hello, welcome to Coffee with the Kristas. So what are we going to talk about today for this first ever Coffee with the Kristas?
Thanks for joining us. So today we're going to be focusing on Christian fellowship. And of course, fellowship in female circles is much different than fellowship in male circles, as I'm sure you can imagine. But I just want to ask, have you ever found it difficult cultivating healthy relationships and healthy friendships? And have you ever found it difficult just connecting and making new friendships? Sometimes it can just really leave you feeling disappointed and lonely and just awkward. So
yes.
many different things. And maybe, if things aren't going well, you might think, well, what's wrong with me? Why can't I be normal? Why is it so easy for other people and not easy for me? And you may have something in mind as far as your dream relationship and friendship, and you just can't seem to ever get there. And so today we're just going to talk about, what does God say about friendship, and what does he want for you in friendship? Because he wants you to have healthy friendships. And so we want to talk about that today and share with you our hearts.
And I like this topic because friendship is about relationship. And what do we have with Jesus? He wants us to have a relationship with him. And that's he's perfect and wonderful and in every way. And then there's us. So obviously there's some issues in that relationship, right? But it's not because of him, it's because of us, because who we are, where we're at. But yet, how does he show us to have a relationship? How did he lead by example to have a relationship?
Yes.
And if we look at that, because again, you're supposed to do, what would Jesus do, right? WWJD, you remember that? But really, I mean, that is why he came, to really make that example by how he lived and by living with others. And none of them were perfect, but he had many different kinds of relationships. And we are made in his image. We long for that depth of relationship as well, not just with God and Jesus, but with others around. And he says it's not for good for man to be alone, but he wasn't talking about just man and woman. He made us for connection. He made us for relationship. And so I love this topic, and obviously we could talk on it a lot, but we're going to fine tune it down to just a few little pieces that we connected with earlier. So we had a little idea where we're going today with you, but just some real life stuff, because cultivating healthy relationships takes work. You have to be intentional, patience, a lot of grace, probably a lot of forgiveness, and really looking at yourself, right? Because if that's where the problem starts with us, or you, right? Or maybe it starts with Krista and not this Krista, but no, but it's so weird. We have to say the name, right? And it's spelled the same, but hey, connecting with others is hard because you have to be vulnerable to really connect. Not just I had lots of friends growing up. I'm an extrovert and I was always seeking fun. So, if the goal is fun, it's really easy to find friends who want to have fun. I mean, I don't know. Who doesn't want to have fun? So I had lots of friends that would have fun, but I wasn't really connected to hardly any of them. I was still very alone.
Yeah, it's interesting. So when you think about the people that there's a lot of people that but there's not all the people that you wouldn't bring into your inner circle. You wouldn't entrust your heart to them. The Bible talks about guarding your heart above all else. So it's important to ask the Lord to show you which people you can bring into your inner core circle, where you can really connect with them, as Krista was talking about, and start to share things where you can start having those iron sharpen iron kind of relationships. where you can pray with each other and lift one another up and things like that. Mentor one another and nurture one another in the Lord.
And all that
So
definitely takes time. And we need to pray for
does.
one another and not be close.
Yes.
But to call and say, I need you to pray for me. Would you pray for
Yes.
this, and be vulnerable
and have
and
that
honest?
trust.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
So you will have your inner circle, and then you will have a little bit of a circle outside of that, which would be your
acquaintance
level, and you have your family, and then you have the circle beyond that point. But you don't want to just tell everyone everything, because you will hurt yourself pretty quickly if you do something
that
like
doesn't
that.
work. Oh yeah,
It
I think
doesn't
I
work.
learned that. I did try for a while telling everyone my sad story, so that hopefully, because I wanted to connect,
Yes.
and so I would share all my pain in hopes that they would come, and really I was expecting them to rescue me, which is that doesn't work so well. That kind of freaks people out.
Yes, out of desperation.
Yes, but I was desperate. I wasn't at a place where I could build those friendships, but I was dumping my stuff and hoping that people would come pick me up, and it wasn't happening. So again, I was the problem for most of those relationships, because that's how I approached it. That's how I approached people to try to connect with them.
And I can relate to that too. And I think that a lot of us can relate to that at a certain point in our lives. And I think that it has to do with building maturity with the Lord. We have to grow in our relationship with the Lord and realize that we really have to come to the Lord and give that to the Lord and trust him first, and surrender all of that to him first, and let God be God, and not put our hope in these random people that we're meeting and trying to think that they're going to be our rescuers and we can put our hope and trust in them. No, we can only put our hope and trust in God, because he truly is our rescuer, and we can put our confidence in him. But he will put people in our lives that will help strengthen us, and we can help create great memories with them. Just like he called the disciples. They were his friends. He had 12 disciples. And he calls us his friends as well. And we have a friend in God. So, yeah.
So, yeah.
That's
yeah, right. Now I lost where I was going to go with that, but right. Who is faithful? Who is the one who isn't going to fail? It's Jesus.
Yes.
And that is truly how I knew that I wasn't alone. That didn't fix everything. Jesus was my everything. He had proven himself over and over that he was faithful. And yet I was still lonely, because he wanted more for me. He wanted me to have connection and relationship with others, because we need others. And for more than just fun. We need each other to pray. We need each other to sit and just listen to us sometimes, or to cry with us, or just hear us, and to celebrate and to have fun with. But, that takes time. And we also need them to be sharpened, which I believe you said that too, to me, that is one of the best gifts of healthy relationships, to be sharpened by one another, just to be encouraged. Not that they're telling me things and teaching me things, but I'm just seeing them live, and I know who they are. And I know they're not perfect, and I know they don't do everything right, but I'm seeing how they live, because I'm in a relationship with them, and we talk about various things and how they respond to things. And when I see those things, that is what really encourages me and inspires and sharpens me, and also makes me want to just thank God all the more, again, for his faithfulness, that he brings these people into my life. And I mean, it's what I wanted for so long, and it took so long to get there. It was first trusting Jesus, but it was also, for me, it was really getting to understand me. Why do I respond the way I am? Why was I so desperate? What were those issues? So I had to look at myself and examine myself, and it wasn't all at once. This is like years of work, years of process, right? Because God doesn't just fix everything for you, but he wants to lead you through it, to stretch you, to grow you, to mature you, as you said. And that's what I love about having those healthy relationships and getting there. But, you can't just expect people to embrace you right away. You have to process through it and see the vulnerability and your flaws and how you are in connecting with other people.
Mm-hmm. I can really relate to what you're saying. And when you've had poor relationships, you really appreciate good relationships, and you really recognize a good relationship after going through bad relationships. And you really take the time to work at those healthy relationships too. You were talking about, when they're not perfect and things like that. And it makes me think about when God called David. He said, man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. And I just want to encourage you, like when you're at church or wherever you are, and, God puts someone in your life that maybe they aren't the best dressed person or the most flashy or the most beautiful person, but God is putting them in your life for a reason. You can tell. Do not look upon that person with the eyes of man, but look upon them with the eyes of God, and bring them into your life as a friend. If God is putting them upon your heart, don't think about it based upon their outward appearance.
Or even how they act. Because sometimes behavior is also a deterrent in connecting with people, right? They just seem like they're a little too this or a little too that. And you're like, it's not what I want for my friendship, but maybe it's also something like what I mentioned, the desperation or trying to get attention. We talk about, the comedians, they're always the entertainment, but so often so many of them are so lonely and so empty. But they're doing the comedy to get attention, but yet they're still not getting that connection that they long for.
So it could be a person in need. Even like if you've been hurt with past relationships and you're nervous to get into a deep friendship again, and you just don't want to be hurt, you put up walls and you're like, no, I'm not doing this again. I just don't want any friends. Nope. I've been there. Krista's been there. We know what it's been like. There's been times where it's been years where we just shut down in that area.
But that's when I call those internal walls.
Walls.
You might not even realize it at first. I think it's more subconsciously. You've built up these walls and these barriers because you're trying to protect yourself. These are natural things that we do, but we have to recognize that. Because that's really unforgiveness. That's when we have disappointment or anger from a relationship, we need to mourn the loss or mourn what we didn't have, but we need to let all of our burdens go unto him and leave them at his feet. And again, we don't always know what everyone else is going through. We just know how we felt, right? So what is that kind of what we talked about? We said everyone doesn't remember necessarily what you said, right? Even in fights, don't remember what you said. Oh, but you remember how you felt. And so we don't always know what the other person thinks or what they're going through. We just know how we felt. And so we've made our judgment and our decision. And then we start, and when it happens over and over, we build these internal walls to protect ourselves, but we're not really protecting ourselves. I call it a version of surviving. We're just surviving, and that's not living.
Well, I think it's too, like you want to prevent yourself from going through the same pain of it again. So you're just like, it's like a fight or flight. Like you're like, okay, I recognize that this could lead me into a painful situation again. And I don't want to go down that road. So I'm just not even going to give myself the option to go down that road. But the thing of it is, as a Christian, you don't have the option, sister. You really don't.
She's in your face. She's in the kitchen today.
I am. This is the thing. When you are a Christian, God calls you to spread the gospel, and he calls you to obey him, to walk in obedience. And when he wants you to be a friend to somebody, when he wants you to go and talk to somebody and to love on somebody, you have to do it, like it or not. We have to love, and we have to shine the light. We can't just shut down. He can't shut down. What if Jesus shut down when he was walking up the road to Calvary? He couldn't shut down. No, he had a calling on his life. And so the thing of it is, as a Christian, walking in that love, there's a good chance that you will get hurt again. There's a good chance that you will suffer again. But there's also someone who has your back, and he is fully trustworthy, and he will fight for you, and he will give you justice. And you don't have to worry about getting vengeance if someone backbites or betrays or hurts or anything like that, because he is your protector, and you can just fully trust him. So when you're walking in that trust of fully trusting your God, because you know that he is trustworthy, you don't have to worry about the past or the what ifs that can happen. You don't have to worry, because you can have, are you ready for this? Godfidence, not confidence, Godfidence.
Godfidence.
Okay?
Yes, that's all I got is
Two
Godfidence, because the confidence in this right here, it can be up for a moment, but too easily I lose it. So my confidence is where I get it is from God. So I only have a Godfidence because with me, I know I can do so many things right, but I can also real quick just screw up the whole thing. So if I trust him, even through the screw up. So that's where we talk about grace, right? It's that grace that he gives us. And again, to be like him. And again, this isn't a list of checkoffs, things that you got to check off. This is how it is. But as you said, he's telling us that we have to be obedient. That's what it is to be a Christian. The devil and the demons know who God is. And they know who his name is. Just because we say we know who he is, that means nothing. It is all he asks of us. It's not sacrifice, it's obedience. Obedience to the sovereignty of God, that he is in control, even when it seems like he's not. He allows things to happen because for a time, that's how it's going on here on earth. And we're not going to go in that conversation right now, but then he says, no matter what, he's the one who takes the dirt, the pile, the mess up, the ashes, and makes them beautiful. We have to trust him. We have to keep trusting him in every step that we take, and trust him to forgive those who, forgiving isn't about others. Forgiving is for ourselves. It's for releasing it from us. We are no longer carrying that burden. It is not excusing the person. And then in his Bible, in my Bible, in his word, it talks about we are to even love our enemies, and that's so easy. And, if you grew up in church, oh yeah, love your enemies. Yeah. How many of you done that? That's really hard. If you can't even love right now your friend that hurt you, and that you're not even considering friend, how would we even love our enemy? And we can't really do that on our own, in our own flesh. We've got to do that with his grace, with his help, and surrendering, obeying him. We are able to do those things, because we can't really do that on our own strength. But with our Godfidence, we can. I guess.
What really strikes me in talking about loving your enemy is how Jesus actually called Judas to be a disciple, and how he loved him and he nurtured him.
And he knew all along.
And he cultivated that relationship, even knowing, they said Jesus was without sin. But can you imagine how that must have tormented him that whole time throughout his whole ministry, knowing that Judas, this one that he called friend, would be the one to betray him. We have a hard time when someone simply betrays us for something simple. But Jesus was betrayed unto death with a kiss. And it just baffles my mind, the love of Jesus. Even when he was in that moment of being betrayed, he was still gracious. He didn't punch him in the face or anything like that. But it just blows my mind,
That's really about putting yourself in someone else's position. So putting yourself in Jesus' place, knowing that your close friend who you have spent day in and day out with is now going to betray you unto death. You know how attitude I would be, how
Yeah.
angry I would be, but yet thinking like Jesus, and how, again, his great love and his patience and his grace. And thank goodness we really can know that we're probably not ever going to be put in that exact position. But again, he was showing how to live as an example.
Yes.
That's why he
Yes.
loves us in our sin. He doesn't love us after we're fixed up. He loved Judas. He did, no matter what. He knew what he was going to do, and he still loved him. He still was a friend to him. Wow, we could really go somewhere.
Yes.
I'm not ready to go with that conversation, but still, just realizing that when we're facing our junk, our relationships, and how hard it is, and even have grace for us when, because hello, we could be on the other side. We could be the one not offering grace. They could be really angry and hurt by us and not forgiving us. So where does that put us? What did we do? Friendship, working with people is living with people, getting married, living with someone, but friendship with people is hard because we're all so different. We have similarities. So that's why we have different kinds of friends too, right? Not that, I only do this with this person, I only do that. We don't quite cookie cutter it that way, but we have friends that we really connect on doing this with, or we really connect on this level or this level. So that's fine that we have different kinds of friends, because we connect at different levels or different interests that we have. And that's good for us too. Stretching us, having friendships stretches us, disciples us.
Yes.
Jesus and his disciples, they were being discipled by him. We can be discipled by one another in how we relate, how we connect, and how we forgive and be with one another.
Yeah. I just have a few scripture verses that I'd like to read into this. Just to add to what Krista was saying, and I'm sure many of you have heard this, but Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. To have one really good friend is a wonderful thing. To have two really good friends is a wonderful thing. The more relationships you have that you establish, you will find that you will really start sharpening and growing in wisdom, because they will be sharing amazing things with you. You will be talking and learning more. It will really edify your life. And they will nurture you. They will lift you up in prayer when you need it. It is going to be something that's rewarding for you, and you'll be able to pour out as well into their lives. It's going to be a really awesome, awesome thing. So start pursuing friendship. I also want to read Ecclesiastes chapter 4, 9-12. Let's see here.
Gotta open the Bible for this one.
Yes.
She doesn't know this one by heart.
Got my trusty Bible here with me. So it says, two are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up, but pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. I like that.
I like the part too, when they're down, who's going to help them up?
Yes.
That leads us to our other conversation that we'll go to, but you can.
Yes. And then there's just one last ending here. It says a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. So if you're a Christian and you get into a relationship with another Christian woman, you're actually a strand of 3 cords, because the Holy Spirit is also entwined around you guys. And that is a really powerful thing. Now, what did you want to say?
When someone is down, who is there to pick them up? Again, a huge blessing of having that relationship. So, but what if they're down and they don't have those friends already? What if they're alone, or they're new and they don't have those people in their life? Or, and obviously they don't come up and tell you, hey, I got no one in my life and I fell down and I need you to pick me up. So obviously it's not that obvious. Sometimes, there can be obvious, but really, are we looking for those that are down? Are we looking for those that are new? Are we looking for those that aren't in our circle? who we're close to? Are we reaching out to people around us, just trying to love everyone? Because we don't know where the friendships are going to come from. I have some friends now that I would have never guessed would have become my friends, but we got connected through something else. And I just gained such a respect for them. And I feel so blessed to know them and have them in my life. But it's not that I pursued them as a friend or we connected in some great way. It was just over time that I felt that connection. But are we really loving those around us, not just who we want to?
Yes.
So that's the other part.
Yes.
That's how we also get friends, but also, are we being a friend? We talked really about what we want, how we want to connect, but what about others? How do we connect to them? Are we looking to connect with them? And that's a lot harder.
Yeah. So, I would really encourage you to pray and ask God to give you the eyes of Jesus, to be the mouthpiece of Jesus, to be the hands and feet of Jesus, and to set up divine appointments for you throughout the day so you can reach out to people and create friendships and love on people, love the unloved and the unlovely even, and to love the hurting and those that need a friend. We are little Christs as Christians, and you can be Jesus to so many different people that are hurting and just empty inside. Krista was talking about, she mentioned the word dirt earlier, like God can take your ashes and turn them into something beautiful. And recently at one of our Women Ablaze events, Katie Ewing came to speak, and she talked about when we're in the dirt, when we're in our really hard times and when it gets dirty and messy and ugly, God's with us in the dirt. He sits with us in our mess and in our dirt. And when you're going through tough relationships, or you've been through the heartache and you don't want to go back, and you're just like so traumatized by some of those hard times, God was sitting with you through all of that. He never left your side. And he's going to help restore you. He wants to restore your heart and give you beauty for ashes and fill you with the joy of the Lord again. He's done it for me, and he's done it for Krista, and he wants to do it for you. But we'd be happy to lift you up in prayer if you have any prayer requests about friendship. So feel free to reach out to us too.
That sounds great.
Awesome.
Hopefully we said something that you found useful or encouraging. But anyhow, we enjoyed our time together. So hopefully you enjoyed joining us, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did have just one more scripture I just wanted to close with, because I know that sometimes friendships can be really hard and there can be a lot of drama because we're women and that's what we do. But Colossians 3:13 says, bear with each other and forgive one another. If any of you has grievance against someone, forgive as the Lord forgave you. So thanks for being with us today, and we hope you'll come see us next time.